Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in Fort St. John. It being 11 o'clock, I'll ask the meeting to please come to order. Before we proceed with the meeting, I'd like to remind everyone to please shut off your telephone if you don't mind, and that we can avoid your conversations. My name is Michael Kornberg. I'm a director and the chairman of Canfor Corporation. I'll be acting as chairman of the meeting. Delighted to extend a warm welcome to all of you. This is the 33rd annual general meeting that Canfor has had, and we're delighted to be here in Fort St. John. As I think everybody knows, we've got some very important operations and very important people here in this market. This is a very important source of wood to support Canfor's marketing initiatives around the world in the United States with Home Depot and so on. So we're very pleased to be here. The meeting is convened as an annual general meeting of the shareholders and has been called for the purposes of receiving the consolidated financial statements for the December 31st, 2014 fiscal year, to receive the report of the auditors and the report from management and the board to the shareholders, to set the number of directors, in this case at 7, to elect the directors for the coming year and to appoint auditors for the coming year. Once we've dealt with all of the necessary business of the meeting, I'll then be turning it over to Don Kane, who's seated to my left, to give his update on the business of the meeting. And of course, next to Don is David Calabrigo, who's acting as secretary today. If it's possible, let's hold your questions if they don't relate to a specific motion that's going to come before the meeting until after Don has had a chance to address you. So as I said, David's going to act as secretary, and I'd also like to now take the opportunity to introduce you to the other directors of Canfor Corporation. Maybe I'll ask them to stand and be recognized as I call their names out, starting with Peter Bentley, Glenn Clark, Jim Pattison, Conrad Pinette, Max Singleton, Ross Smith, and William Stinson. These directors have all worked hard. We get together on a regular basis. We have a good dialogue with management. A lot of good questions are asked, and it's a pleasure to work on the board with them. I'm also pleased to recognize the executive management team who are here, and alphabetically, if you wouldn't mind standing as I call your names. Tracy Arnish, Senior Vice President, People and Culture. Patrick Elliott, the Vice President and Treasurer. Mark Feldinger, Senior Vice President, Energy, Environment, Transportation and Sourcing. Mark has the longest title of anybody here. Wayne Guthrie, Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing. Stephen Mackey, the Vice President of Operations for Canada. Alan Nicol, the Senior Vice President, Finance and Chief Financial Officer. Brett Robinson, who's the President of Canfor Pulp. And Martin Pudlis, who heads the pulp operations. In addition, we were pleased to have Fred Stimson here from Mobile, Alabama. Fred was recently appointed as the president of Canfor Southern Pine, so welcome to your first Canfor annual general meeting. With Don and David, these folks are high-performing. They are working well together. We think the company's in good hands under their leadership in taking the company forward. With the consent of the meeting, I appoint CST Trust Company to act as scrutineer for the meeting, and I ask David to please deal with the notice of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, the notice calling the meeting was mailed to all shareholders of the company entitled to receive such notice. CST Trust Company has provided us with a certificate as to the mailing, and a copy of the certificate will be kept for the records of the meeting.
Could you deal with the scrutineer's report as well?
We're pleased to report there are 54 shareholders holding 113,065,464 shares represented in person or by proxy at this meeting, representing 83.5% of the issued capital of the company.
Thanks, David. As chairman of the meeting, I adopt the report and declare attendance at the meeting to be as set forth. In accordance with that report, I declare a quorum to be present and the meeting to be duly constituted for the transaction of business. I'd ask those who've agreed to raise their hands or make motions to please stand up, identify yourself in doing so, and the same with seconders. And as I think people know, in order to make these meetings flow more quickly, we've prearranged with people to make motions and second them, but anybody wanting to be heard on a motion is welcome to speak. The minutes of the last meeting of shareholders are available for review by any shareholder. Unless someone wants them to be read, I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of those minutes.
My name is Lyle Fisher. I'm a shareholder of the company. I move that the minutes of the annual general meeting of the members held on April 30th, 2014 be taken as read and be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Disher. Can I have a seconder?
My name is John Gibbon.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. You've all heard the motion. If you could please signify in the usual manner by raising your hand if you're in favor. Anybody opposed? Good. We skipped to have to read those minutes. That's good. Next item of business is to place before the meeting the consolidated financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31st, 2014, the auditor's report, and the director's report to shareholders. The statements are contained in the company's annual report, which has been mailed to shareholders, and there's copies of it in the lobby for anybody who didn't pick one up. Unless there's any questions, I propose to regard the statements and reports as having been received by the meeting. Thank you. It's now time for the election of directors. The meeting's open for nominations.
My name is Mark Feldner, and I'm a shareholder of the company. I nominate Peter J.G. Bentley, Glenn D. Clark, Michael J. Kornberg, James A. Pattison, Conrad A. Bennett, J. McNeil Mac Singleton, Ross S. Smith, William W. Stinson as directors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting.
Thanks very much, Mr. Fellinger. Those nominees also happen to be the management nominees that were identified in the information circular sent to shareholders for the meeting. Are there any further nominations? There being no further nominations, I declare the nominations closed, and as only the required number of persons have been nominated to fill the role of directors, and that fills out the number of directors, I declare that the directors have all been duly elected by acclamation to hold office until the next annual general meeting. Next item of business is the appointment of the auditors, and it's the board's recommendation that KPMG LLP, Chartered Accountants, be appointed as the auditors of the company. May I have a motion to that effect?
Chair, my name is Pat Elliott. I'm a shareholder of the company. I move that KPMG LLP, Chartered Accountants, be appointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Is there a seconder?
My name is Brian Ludick. I am a shareholder of the company, and I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ludick. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. All those opposed? So it looks like KPMG's got it. I would be remiss in not mentioning that until this appointment, PwC has been the auditor of the company. They've done a great job over a long number of years. They've served the company well, including its subsidiary Canfor Pulp. We are pleased to have them in our lives. This is a big opportunity for KPMG to work with the company. We look forward to a good, close, and long association with KPMG. I'm going to now call upon Don Kane, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Canfor Corporation, to address the meeting. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Mike, and welcome, everyone. Really appreciate the fact that you're all here with us today. Canfor is very proud to be part of communities like Fort St. John and Taylor. And I know that I speak on behalf of the Board of Directors and my fellow members of our management team when I say that we really enjoy the opportunity like this and which gives us a chance to be with you today. We're on the traditional territory of the Daneza, including Doig River, Blueberry River, Halfway River, and Soto, West Moberly, and Prophet River. I'd like to recognize the chiefs of all these nations and the Fort Nelson First Nation, all of whom are important business partners for Canfor. I also would like to welcome the Taylor Mayor, Rob Fraser, and thank him for being with us today, as well as the other local leaders and business partners of Canfor, including some of our local contractors, and thanks very much for joining us today. For Q1 for 2015, Canfor reported net income of $29.3 million, or 22 cents a share, compared to $29.9 million in Q4 of last year. Adjusting for items affecting comparability to previous quarters, Canfor's net income was $46 million in Q1 compared to adjusted net income of $35 million in Q4 of last year. Before continuing with my remarks, we'd like to show just a short video that showcases Canfor and provides an overview of our company and our commitment to sustainability. And before we say, I just want to say that all the videos are going to show you two, and both of them are actually made in-house by a couple of folks within Canfor, so it's just be of interest.
Forestry has been called the ultimate growth industry. We couldn't agree more. Our product is grown by the sun, harvested and processed with virtually 100% utilization, and renewed with a program that saw us plant 66 million trees last year. As we start our 77th year, Our business has never been more strongly rooted, and our prospects for new growth never better. Canfor's Prince George Sawmill is a modern, bustling operation, processing as many as 90 truckloads of logs per day. But just a few hundred yards from the front gates, you'll find an entirely different kind of production line. The J.D. Little Forest Center is Canfor's primary silviculture operation. Our nursery is home to millions of seedlings, carefully tended by a team who've been working here for as long as 25 years. But seedlings aren't the only things we nurture. We believe in attracting and developing new talent, women and men who see the same strong future for our business that we do. We're focused on being the employer of choice for the best and brightest people in the industry. While we may be the ultimate growth business, you could just as easily call us the perfect example of a green industry. Every year brings a new cycle of renewal, a new opportunity to find a way to work more safely, more productively, and more profitably. As much as we continue to grow our business, one thing remains constant: our commitment to a set of standards and values that reach back to our company founders. So whether it's expanding our existing operations, developing new product lines, growing our customer base, expanding into new markets, or acquiring new operations, we are all one Canfor. There's never been a better time to be in the forest industry. The strategies and values that built our company remain as valid and vital today as they ever were. We are proud of our past and equally inspired by our future, growing our business, our people, and our community as only Canfor can.
So I'd like to also just acknowledge Laurie Ackerman, who's the mayor of Fort St. John, who's also with us today. Good to see you. As you can see from the video, our strategy is pretty straightforward. We're a customer-focused company committed to the safety of our employees, the quality of our products, and the reliability of our service commitments. We have a lot going for us. Our fiber supply is strong and supports the production of quality pulp and paper and lumber products. We have a competitive, well-capitalized facilities in some of the best locations in North America, places like Fort St. John. We have an efficient logistics network that gets our products to customers on time and when they need them. We have committed, skilled employees, and we have been named a top employer in British Columbia, recognizing our commitment to our people. We have loyal customers here in North America and overseas who know they can depend on our reliability and our quality and our commitment to customer satisfaction. What sets Canfor and Canfor Pulp apart is how we bring this all together. In other words, our execution. With the support of our shareholders and our board, we have positioned Canfor and Canfor Pulp to embrace the opportunities and confront the challenges that lie ahead of us. A good place to start is the mountain pine beetle, and I don't have to tell anyone here that the infestation has presented numerous challenges for our industry and for our province. I think that the people in our community, in our company, and across BC's solid wood industry deserve a tremendous amount of credit for how they have responded to the challenge posed by the mountain pine beetle. Through determination, ingenuity, and investment in technology, we have processed mountain pine beetle-killed timber into commercially viable lumber, far beyond what anyone believed we could achieve. In many cases, we doubled the expected shelf life of the dead standing timber, recovering merchantable lumber from a resource that, absent of this ingenuity, capital, and commitment, would not have been processed. But the time has come where we see the economic recovery of lumber from that timber coming to an end. The impact is simple. In BC's interior, there will be less production going forward. Allowable annual cuts could be reduced by more than 30%, and several more mills will close. We knew this day was coming, which is why we have taken the necessary steps and hard decisions to minimize our exposure. In 2013, we announced the permanent closure of our Quesnel sawmill and exchanged timber rights with West Fraser. In 2012, we acquired operations in the Kootenays, where the infestation was not as severe. In 2011, we closed 3 operations due to fiber challenges. As a result, we are in a strong position today, with a long-term, competitive, high-quality fiber supply. Thanks to this execution, we can assure customers around the globe that we will be able to meet their needs. I think it is important for people to understand that the industry in BC will be different, but with the right action by industry and government, it can be strong and profitable. The forest sector in this province can and must remain a mainstay of the provincial economy to ensure the prosperity of the province. Our strong business relationships with First Nations, such as Blueberry River, Doig River, and Halfway River, are also integral to our success. We have been and remain fully committed to developing mutually beneficial opportunities and inviting First Nations participation in our planning and in our operations. Last year, we signed agreements with the Ktunaxa Nation Council, whose traditional territory is home to our operations in the East Kootenay region. The agreements define our working relationship and are based on mutual respect and understanding. The importance of maintaining these close relationships in our operating areas was reinforced by a 2014 Supreme Court of Canada decision to grant Aboriginal title and rights to the Silicotine Nation in BC's central interior. While many regard that decision as groundbreaking, to us it merely underscores what we have known for a long time. Forest products, companies, and First Nations have enjoyed strong, mutually valuable relations. Unlike other sectors such as mining, oil and gas, and others, in leading forest products companies like Canfor, First Nations know that our principles and approaches were already based on a full commitment to engage, consult, and work together to find and develop joint partnership opportunities. When it comes to forest products, British Columbia has long had an earned reputation as a reliable source of quality products at competitive prices. Part of our execution is to work with government to address issues that risk damaging this brand and affecting this vitally important industry's competitiveness. Frankly, we are concerned by key threats that have emerged, threats that put the BC brand at risk. What are those threats? Well, they include increasing log prices, higher transportation costs and infrastructure costs, and uncertainty related to issues such as the mountain pine beetle. Addressing these issues in a meaningful way is critical to ensuring that BC continues to benefit from a prosperous forest sector. And while the U.S. market is recovering, the myriad of challenges faced by our BC operations require focus to ensure the competitiveness of the sector and the BC brand. There is also uncertainty around the Canada-U.S. softwood lumber agreement, which expires on October 12th of this year. We would like to see the agreement extended and have been pushing for that through government and industry channels. We are members of the Binational Softwood Lumber Board that arose from the agreement, and its work has led to benefits on both sides of the border, opening up new opportunities for softwood lumber products, and advancing renewability and sustainability in non-residential construction. It is important work, and it is making a difference. Canfor's lumber production is also increasingly binational. We are continuing our strategic expansion into the southern United States. We now have 10 mills in the region with an annual production capacity of 1.4 billion board feet of southern yellow pine. There is growing demand for southern yellow pine in the United States, and we see southern yellow pine lumber increasingly serving our U.S. customer base while we focus our SPF shipments offshore. In 2014, we finalized the purchase of 3 mills from Scotch and Gulf Lumber of Alabama and announced plans to acquire 3 new sawmills, 2 in Georgia from Beatles and Balfour Lumber Companies and 1 in Mississippi from Southern Lumber Company, and these deals closed earlier this year. All 6 of our new mills are in areas where there is an abundant supply of quality southern yellow pine lumber or fiber. The latest acquisitions from Beatles and Balfour and Southern Lumber increased our production capacity of high-quality southern pine dimension lumber by 300 million board feet. Our growth in the southern United States further diversifies our product mix, our access to global markets, and the geographic locations of our production facilities. As part of our strategic plan, we're committed to continuing to pursue more SYP expansion opportunities as we move forward. We're an integrated company, and this means we can maximize the value and utilization of our fiber, using it for lumber, pulp and paper, and green energy. Wood chips resulting from Canfor lumber manufacturing facilities are sold primarily to Canfor Pulp. Canfor Pulp has always had a fiber advantage. The pulp is made from native species in BC's interior that are ideal for premium products. By weight, roughly half of the wood used by Canfor Pulp is converted into high-quality premium reinforcement pulp that is in high demand in markets around the world. Canfor Pulp continues top quartile performance, and 2014 saw improvements in operational excellence, higher value products, and increased energy revenue. There were reliability gains, increased operating days, and shorter scheduled outages, and PG Pulp and Paper set an annual production record while other facilities also delivered improvements. Earlier this year, Canfor sold its thermomechanical pulp mill at Taylor to Canfor Pulp so both companies can gain operational synergies. Canfor Pulp has also completed some capital projects that will further expand our energy business. The installation of a 32-megawatt turbo generator at our Intercontinental Pulp Mill in Prince George was recently completed on time and on budget. This is expected to make the mill 100% energy self-sufficient. Power generation at all three of our Prince George pulp mills will contribute annual revenue of about $25 million. We launched Fiber United in 2014. This sales, service, and marketing cooperative agreement with UPM Pulp of Finland provides an expanded product mix, faster response times, and advanced technical support in key markets. And Canfor Pulp now represents UPM's products in North America, and UPM represents our products in Europe and in China. As well as using sawmill chips to manufacture pulp products, we are focusing on extracting maximum value from other residual products. In addition to Canfor Pulp's green energy generation, we have modern energy systems at many of our sawmills, reducing both costs and our dependence on fossil fuels. We're already close to 100% utilization and are building pellet plants at Fort St. John and at Chetwynd that will move us even closer to this goal. The plants are a partnership with Pacific Bioenergy and will be operating by the end of this year. There are also exciting opportunities in the future for next-gen products like biofuels and nanotechnologies to make even more out of sustainable wood fiber. The foundation of our successful execution is, without a doubt, though, people. Day in and day out, it is the people in our operations across the company that make it happen. They are committed to Canfor, our customers, and the communities where we operate. When the Canada Winter Games came to Prince George earlier this year, our employees contributed in hundreds of different ways, often on their own time. Those of you from Fort St. John know about the spirit that came with the games. Your Pomeroy Sports Centre hosted the long track speed skating when the weather did not cooperate in Prince George. We were an official community sponsor, and our ambassadors were front and center throughout the games. They staffed the Canfor House Hospitality Centre, where many of the athletes and visitors stopped by for a break. They handed Canfor toques with beards, one of the hottest keepsakes of the games. And so we've got a short video about Canfor House that we thought we'd like to show you.
It's very exciting to have Canada Winter Games here, and this is such an exciting time.
It's a huge deal for Prince George and the region. The participation with Canfor in the games is being part of the community in itself.
We've never hosted a national competition, so we're pretty excited about it. We're a little nervous, but I know it's going to be just a great event.
We wanted something that would bring people together, enjoy the activities that are going on.
We coined it Canfor House.
It's a beautiful house.
Canfor House is a warming hut that it is in the Canada Games Village.
We put it up in 4 days to lock up.
It's an opportunity for us to showcase our great products, lumber and pulp.
The furniture is all constructed. It's all used Canfor wood.
We're bringing in thousands of people a day right now. They can come in, spin a wheel for awesome Canfor prizes.
There you are!
Get a snack, warm up. We have a pellet stove.
I think that Canfor has really stepped up in its commitment to being a full-fledged partner. As an example, the Canfor House.
Ah!
Canfor Beardo is a huge hit at these games. The kids love them, adults love them, we're getting babies in them. It's pretty awesome to see.
In the communities where we operate, it's so important for us to be part of those communities and giving back to those communities. It's a big part of, I think, our success and why people want to come and work for Canfor. Once we're done with the Winter Games, we're going to donate the warming hut to the Skating Oval organization. It's going to continue being used by the community.
So besides the fun that we had at Canfor House, the Games also gave us a great opportunity to introduce young people from across the North to our company and to our industry. We bussed in 500 high school students so they could watch a hockey game and learn about the wide choice of career options in the modern forest sector. Employee retention and development will remain a key priority in 2015, so it is important to look for ways to raise awareness and attract new talent. Here's another excellent example of sound execution. Last April, 700 mine workers were laid off in this region at Tumbler Ridge and at Chetwynd. The local HR and management teams, supported by colleagues across the north, moved fast. They arranged an open house and site tour along with a barbecue, and they called it a recruitment social. The response was outstanding, and many of the people who came were impressed by the technology and the emphasis on safety at our mill. These new colleagues have joined people who work hard to keep our mills productive and safe. We take special pride in our safety performance, and it is one of the best in our industry. We know our future success depends on attracting new talent and developing new leaders. That's why we have increased our investment in learning and development for all employees. We want to make sure we have the strong people in place who share our sense of urgency and our commitment to customers and efficient execution. So what's ahead? North American lumber demand is expected to improve with a slow but steady recovery in the U.S. housing market. While offshore markets are projected to be somewhat softer, we will benefit from the lower Canadian dollar. I remain confident that the forest sector will continue to hold immense promise for companies like Canfor and Canfor Pulp that understand the value of execution. We anticipate change so we can be ready to embrace it. Our skilled employees, our skilled employees means we will be able to expand our quality product mix to meet the needs of customers around the globe and maximize both the value and utilization of our fiber resources. None of this could be possible without the great support that we receive. So my sincere thanks to all Canfor and Canfor Pulp employees and our outstanding management team, all of who show up every day to make a difference and drive our shared success forward. Thanks as well to both our Canfor and Canfor Pulp boards for its excellent guidance, and to our community partners and shareholders for their ongoing support. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Don. Good presentation. This would be an appropriate spot in the meeting. If anybody has any questions for the company, happy to respond. I think, Don, you did a pretty good job covering it because it doesn't look like there's any questions. In that case, may I ask for a motion to terminate the meeting?
I'm Jones, and I'm a shareholder of the company, and I move that this meeting be concluded.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Is there a seconder?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Wayne Catherine. I'm a shareholder of the company.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Then the meeting is terminated. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you.